Okay, so let's talk about the scent that your dog is going to search for. Now, there's nothing wrong with teaching your dog to search for food or a toy. You don't have to use kibble or a Kong, food of any form, toy of any form. Bear in mind, if you do use food, you might want over time to hide it in a container that your dog can't actually get, because eating the food isn't considered an indication. So if you hide it in a container, you might want to poke holes in it, and you want something that is safe for your dog to be around. Please don't use a box like this if you know that your dog is going to sink their teeth into it and potentially cut their gums. Likewise, don't use something like this if your dog is going to paw at it and get their claw caught in one of the holes. Please be safe, please be mindful. So you can use food or a toy, or you can set up a scent jar. You can also use a tin, but I'm going to talk to you about a jar. Now, I recommend that you use a jar with a metal lid or a glass one, like the Kilner jars that you can get. And what you will do is you will put your scent into the bottom of this jar, along with some bits of fabric or some, I've got some here, bits of fabric. This is old sock. It's new sock actually, but so it's not been through the washing machine. It's not got the smell of detergent on it or anything like that. It's just sock, cheap sock from the supermarket. So what we would do is we would think about what we're going to search for. Now, some organisations have specific scents that you must search for. And if you're using our award scheme as a way to train for those, then you might want to think about using those specific scents. So have a look on their websites or read their documentation and find out what they recommend. You can use something that's come from your kitchen. These are cloves. You might want to use an oil. This is truffle oil. Or you might want to use something that is more pet orientated. This is catnip. So what we would do is, let's say we were using cloves, is we would take, I don't know, a small number, about 4 or 5 of them, pop them in the bottom of our scent jar with a piece of fabric, put the lid on it, and then leave it for 24 hours. After 24 hours, that fabric should smell nice and strongly of cloves, and you can use it in your searching or your training. If you are not using cloves, but you're using an oil of some form, then what you would want to do is get a cotton pad, cotton wool pad, or a cotton wool ball, and I'm just going to tip it upside down once, and then, I don't know if we can see that, there you go, there's loads on there. Ooh, it smells tasty actually. And then I'll leave that to dry for a few minutes. I'll probably pop it upside down so that the damp oil doesn't go onto the cloth that you put in to your jar. And then a couple of pieces of fabric in, lid on, off you go. Catnip I would probably do in the same way as the cloves, because it's quite dusty. You might want to put it into a little fabric bag of its own before it goes in there so that you don't get the catnip dust on these, but that's entirely up to you. You might want a few more than just 4 or 5 cloves. If you don't feel that that's strong enough smell, put 12 or 15 in. And you can put more than just a couple of pieces in. I use quite long strips because my dog retrieves them. But if your dog isn't going to retrieve, you can cut them up into much smaller pieces, maybe 1 inch by 1 inch. You can also use something that is sticky. I'm filming this in the middle of the pandemic, so I'm not going out. But prior to that, I was popping out to places like Poundland, and they do these bags of stickers that you use to protect your furniture from scratching on the wall or what have you. I think you can pick them up from large internet sellers. I'm not mentioning names. They're not expensive, a couple of pound for 100 or 200 stickers, and they're kind of felty or they're foamy. And again, you can chop those up and put them in. And then you've got something that's sticky and you can stick it in different places, and it's a lot easier to hide those. But the fabric swatches are just as useful. So that is how you set up your scent, and those are some ideas of scents that you can use. But don't feel that you have to be limited to these. If you have a dog that will already search for their own equipment, then take a little bit of their dog bed, put that in a jar with some fabric swatches and ask them to find that. Alternatively, if you have an older relative that you want to make sure that your dog finds if they go walkabout, you could take some hair from their hairbrush, put that in a scent jar, scent some swatches up with that. Maybe pet bedding. If you've got a cat that goes walkabouts and you need to find them, use some bed from your cat, your horse. There's a whole variety of different things that your dog can search for. Please don't feel you have to be limited to anything that I have mentioned already or that another organisation stipulates you should use. In the meantime, happy searching.